Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club. Your number one stop for stellar reviews of volumes, arcs, or stories that us or yourselves choose. You can find us live every Wednesday on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, and the replay on all podcast networks. Take a seat, get yourselves and your opinions ready, as it's time to join the herd. But first, please put your hands together for your hosts, Shane, Phil, Scott, and Martin, as they kick off this week's discussion.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club. Sounded like I was going to go into a rap then. And there's a character, he likes to say bub. Yes. Anyway, welcome to the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club. My name is Scott. I am joined by the boys. I've got Shane.
Oh, hoy, hoy.
I've got Martin.
Evening all.
I've got Phil.
What's up, nerds?
And I've got the man of the hour, the man who has chosen this book for our herd's choice. It is Kev, our resident artist from the Nerd Herd channel.
Hello.
Hello. And this week, if you haven't figured out already by looking at the thumbnail and the title of the video, we are going to be talking about X-Men, Astonishing X-Men, Volume 1, Gifted, written by the fantastic Joss Whedon, art by John Cassaday, colors by Laura Martin, and letters by Chris Eliopoulos. We are covering Volume 1, like I just said, and that is going to be covering issues 1 to 6 as well. Before we say hi to everyone in the chat, I'll let you know what this book is about. What is the book about? It follows a scientist named Dr. Kavita Rao, and she designs the mutant cure. It's as if people are asking for it, and it was secretly sponsored by a warrior alien named Ord. The prospect of kind of real humanity then arouses the interest of the heavily mutated beast. He then visits the doctor to discover that the drug was the product of an illegal human experimentation on an unknown victim. Dun dun dun. They end up raiding Benetech, and they end up reuniting with Colossus, who was the unknown victim. Dun dun dun. And with his help, they end up taking down Ord, and everything's better with the world. Ish, for now. But that's it, I think. Hopefully I did that justice. Don't all speak at once is fine. Yeah. Let's go say hi to the guys in the chat. Liam's here. He's saying hi-de ho. Hody hi. And Dominic's here. Hello, Dominic from the Comic Book Report. He says, hey all. Hey Dominic, how you doing? Thank you for joining, mate. Lovely to see you. Okay, you've heard the monotonous tones of my voice for the last 3 minutes, so I'm going to move over now to Kevin, if that's okay. First of all, I'd love to know why you chose the book and what you thought of it. What were your initial thoughts when you read it?
Well, I chose the book because you guys, I don't think you read much X-Men on here, so I thought it would be a nice Sorry, I'm disappearing. A nice jumping on point. I first read it, I think, when it came out, and I liked it a lot more than I did the second time around. So, yeah, that's why I thought we'll do an X-Men. Also, I wanted to draw Wolverine, so it fits in well with the draw along. It was my cunning plan.
Selfish reasons, then. That's the reason. Selfish reasons. That's what I do, anyway.
Mm-hmm. All right, thanks. Shane?
I actually enjoyed it. I like this. I love the X-Men team. Any kind of lineup for the X-Men, really. I was missing my Rogue and Storm, but I really enjoyed this story. The whole, is it okay to take a cure for something that some people don't see as a disease? And, it seemed to be the only people that were against the cure were people that could pass as human. Everyone else kind of, you had Beast, who obviously is a big blue cat thing. But all the people lined up outside, they were heavily mutated. You know, you had like lizards and non-corporeal beings. That poor boy that just I want my body. You know, he was just hurting for it. And then it's like, what right do you have to tell them they can't take it? Yes, it could be used as a weapon, but it could also save lives. So I like that sort of moral conundrum in my books. I thought it was really well done.
Totally. Yeah. Martin?
This is my first proper X-Men title. I've always been a bit nervous with X-Men because there's so much lore into X-Men. I've always never known where to start, you know. So this is the first one. I was quite impressed. The team was, you know, reminding me. Well, best part of the team was reminiscent of the '90s show as well. So, like, you know, Wolverine, Cyclops, some of those characters. It was familiar, but for me, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I liked the premise. I thought the idea of the Cure was a great starting point, and the characters in it were fantastic. So, yeah, generally quite happy.
Oh, good start, Phil.
Okay. Story's fine. I like the way, like as Shane put it there, you have this moral conundrum of this kind of supposed cure. I like that. I do have a problem with the X-Men in general. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because I've yet to find like an iteration of X-Men that blows me away. Like, this is my X-Men. But there's so many kind of, as Martin alluded to there, like there's so many characters. Yes, that's narrowed down in this story, but I just find it really hard to get on board with X-Men. Like, it's not that it's a bad story. It's good, but like I just have a problem with X-Men. Like, even here, like, so Professor Xavier, he's obviously somewhere else. So this is the starting point. There's obviously stuff that's gone on before this that we're not told. You know, do you need to have read everything of X-Men prior to this? Is it a jumping on point? I'm not so sure, but in some ways it is, because you should be familiar with at least who the X-Men are. But I'm just rambling on a bit because I feel a bit disappointed in a way. I was not astonished reading Astonishing X-Men. They didn't fulfill their job. They had one job, to astonish me, and they didn't.
I was going to say, that was going to be one of my questions I had for people, is if you haven't read the X-Men before, or you don't know too much about the X-Men, was this a good jumping on point?
Not for me.
Yeah.
This
Not
is
for
my
me.
first like actual X-Men title. Like, we've read Old Man Logan, we've read House of M, but yeah, this is the actual first X-Men book that I've read and we've read on the show as well. So I wasn't too bothered. Like, I'm familiar with all the characters anyway. I knew who they were. I know what they were capable of. But yeah, there was that thing at the start with Kitty Pryde. It alludes to some sort of history that I should have known. But I think, it wasn't so much of a thing where I felt like I needed to go and read it, or I felt like I was tremendously missing out on, the quality of this book that I was going to read. So I didn't. But it introduces a new enemy. It introduces, I don't know if Break World is a new thing as well. But it introduces a lot of new things. And yeah, the word conundrum is a great pick from Shane there for that. But I think personally this is a tidy jumping point, given you understand the characters that are already the team. That's what I'm trying to say. As long as you know who the team are, you shouldn't have a problem. But if you are literally going, I know nothing, zero, then I think it's still fine, because you are getting used to their personalities. You are learning what their powers are just by seeing them in battle and stuff. I don't know. I'm going to say just yes. Yes, it's a tidy jumping point, in my opinion.
With a caveat.
But yeah, because as someone who knows X-Men a little bit more, I'm not an expert on the X-Men. I know more than I know more than just a moviegoer, let's say. I was a little bit lost with Emma being on the team, because I know Emma as, the White Queen. I know her as the villain. I know her as the psychic. Seeing her with diamond skin, I was kind of like, that doesn't seem like a natural progression of her powers. So I'm a little bit lost with Emma being on the team and having that new ability. But like you said, it's a new villain, it's a new build-up, a new team. I was fine with it.
So was that ability introduced in this book then, the diamond power?
Might have been done in the run beforehand.
Right.
There was a Grant Morrison run beforehand. I think that's when he put her on the team.
Oh, okay. Because I was totally fine with that, because my first ever dealing with Emma Frost was in the... which film was it?
Days of Future Past.
Yeah, like the first class ones.
Or first class, first class.
Yeah. So I just took it as that's how it is, and that's always been her. Like, so that didn't bother me too much.
See, I think X-Men, it is a weird, my kind of theory in X-Men overall, they're in a weird spot because they do constantly reboot it to try and get new audiences, but it never quite works. They'll never hit the heights of the early 90s Jim Lee stuff. That's never going to happen. But they can't seem to get to the point where they're happy with this iteration. Let's continue this here. Even the more recent stuff, the House of Power or House of 10 Powers of X, which was really good, by the way. They kind of went like massively in all these different tie-in titles, and that's my problem with the X-Men. Again, not relevant to this book because this is quite self-contained essentially for what it is. But that's where I struggle with X-Men in general. Emma Frost, you're right. The only version I know is from the movies, and she was a terrible actress in that movie. She was woeful.
January Jones.
Yeah, is that her actual name?
Yeah.
Oh well, okay. Well, she's not known for anything else, is she? Because she wasn't very good in that movie. Although in this book, it did have one of the best moments for me. Whenever at the very start, she was on the podium giving her speech, and Kitty Pryde goes, "At least I remembered to put on some clothes" or something to that effect. It was hilarious. But yeah, like I think again, knowing the X-Men, knowing that Scott Summers and Jean Grey and the Wolverine kind of love triangle, to have Emma Frost in there all of a sudden was a bit odd. For them to be lovers, I don't believe it. It's not. I haven't bought into that yet. So there's really things like that kind of bug me slightly, but not so much so that you still can't enjoy this story for what it is. Yeah.
I always wonder about the word reboot. You said that this was a reboot. Like, are they reboots? Because for me, a reboot is like completely starting again, like redoing the whole, resetting the lore. Everything is from zero. But this is just kind of like, I feel like instead of a reboot, this is more of a just a new arc, just a big new arc.
Continuation with a different writer. So different take in it.
Yeah.
That's like the whole Krakoa era, the modern stuff. It's the same players. They just go a completely different direction. So you're right. It's not a reboot as such, but they're always trying to not change like the history of the X-Men, but try and change something to get new audiences. And I just haven't found one yet that I really jump into. The Krakoa stuff, it was that until they introduced about 12 different tie-in series. Like, for example, I was reading X-Men, and sorry, spoilers, but in issue 2, Professor Xavier was dead because he got killed in X-Force book, which I wasn't reading. And that's what X-Men are they do this of all their books, X-Men Red, X-Men Blue, whatever else. They always do this. So you have to be all in for X-Men. You can't just read the X-Men book. Now, again, I'm going off a tangent. This does not happen here, but that's like maybe it's a mental block for me.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you there. That's one of the reasons why X-Men. I'm on the back foot with them because I just don't feel like I can just pick that point where I can jump in. Mm-hmm. And even though this was a good read, it wasn't a jump on point. I needed to know something prior. Mm-hmm. So it does suffer from what you're saying. Same as other books you've read, it has that effect. It's a shame because it was a good story, but I just felt like I was missing something from this.
Yeah.
Like what?
Well, at the start, when they were talking about Kitty Pryde and you're sort of knowing little bits about the history, obviously when you know Colossus, bringing Colossus in at that point, I didn't know he was dead.
They talk about the legacy virus that that
Yes.
wasn't mentioned for the first 5 issues of the book, and it's like,
All right, maybe I'm going to go back on my word.
But there's always been a cure, quote unquote cure, hasn't there, for mutants for a long time. So I suppose I agree with you with the whole legacy thing, but if it's just taking that something different and naming it something different, like we always know, they've always tried to cure mutantism or whatever it's called. Mutants bad, humans good, but then the book always does it the other way around, where humans are the bad guys. I don't know. I sound like I'm dogging down the book, but I'm not. Like, I like the idea of X-Men. I just haven't found something that blows me away. I thought this could be it because I've heard good things about it. Joss Whedon, who I'm sure we all know from Joss.
Joss. Like
Joss
Joss Stone.
Who?
Joss Stone,
the singer.
the singer. Oh, grow up, Phil.
We've lost him.
No. But I just like, obviously, for Buffy fame, for Angel fame, for
Firefly,
Avengers.
Firefly, yeah,
Dollhouse.
and then obviously done the Avengers, the first Avengers movie, which is weird because it says here somewhere in this on the blurb at the back that he of like Marvel's the Avengers, but this is 2004.
Must have a
Marvel's
reprint.
Avengers. Yeah, that's what I thought, but it just really annoyed me when I seen that. It's things like that bug me. Don't lie. Don't try and sell me a book that's already been written with like modern day new stuff. Just give me what as it was back then, I'm just talking rubbish. But no, this was good, but it lacked something for me. I don't know what it was.
Fair enough. But did the art lack anything for you guys? Personally, I was in. I loved it. This was a chef's kiss kind of art for me. But I love the shading of this. The coloring's fantastic, and I love a good reflection. And there's a lot of that in this. Like, there's a lot of metal going on and a lot of reflections. It just adds more, more depth and more detail to it. And I'm really trying my best to sound cool in front of Kev now by saying words like depth and
we should
shading.
just give Kev the stage here for the next 10 minutes just to talk about the art, because we know
Yeah.
nothing. It looked nice.
No.
That's what we can say.
Comic look good.
Yeah.
Nice use of colours.
Yeah, pretty color. Yeah. So Kev, take us away, please, on the art. What did you think?
Right. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks for that.
I'm trying
Expert.
to figure out though, looking at his artwork, I don't know if it's inked. I don't know if if it's just from pencils, because the way some of the inking is on the page, it looks too kind of like shaded with the side of a pencil. So I'm trying to work out if John Cassaday they crank up when they're putting the book together, if they crank up the darkness of the pencils to make it look like inks. I'm trying to work that out. I'm not too sure but I think it's beautifully drawn, and I like the way all the characters look. Some of the facial expressions, especially Emma Frost's facial expressions, like the kind of looking down her nose at people.
Yeah.
Really, really good. And Beast looks awesome as well.
See, I didn't like how Beast looked. I don't know why. I thought his face looked a bit silly. But then
Too feline.
yeah, like it was too feline. Like, it's not the Beast I would think. Again, I'm thinking of the 90s animated stuff.
Yeah.
That's the best version of Beast for me. And this is quite different from that.
I'll go back with some lore thing. It's his second mutation as well, so he mutates again, and that's why he looks like a cat.
Okay.
Did it say that in the book? Did we miss that?
No,
He
I
made a
don't
comment
say
of-
it in the book, but
He made a comment of de-evolving, didn't he?
Or
He said he's
devolve,
going
yeah.
backwards, so that's maybe what I thought.
I missed
So
that.
he's just going to be like a tabby cat at the end of this. At the end of this thing.
Well, he does
Like-
mention that as well, doesn't he? Whilst he was saying the devolving, that he's going to be playing with a ball of string
Yeah.
by the end of.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, looking at this, the character design of this for me, it just felt like a cross between a cat and the honey monster.
The hands.
Yeah, it was the hands. It was the big fluffy hands. I'm not saying that like I didn't mean to be like that means it's bad. It doesn't mean it's bad. That's just what I thought of. It was just a cross between those two things. I didn't mind the design. I was a bit thrown by it because it's not what I'm used to and it's not what I've seen before and I've never seen it like this before. But you know how lenient I am. I don't care, to be honest. I was all right with mind management. So this is fine. You know? Yeah, my bar is up there. Anyway, shall we get onto our pages?
Yes.
Okie dokie. Here are all the pages that we've picked. Okay, where should we start? Guest of honor? Guest of honor. Kevin, please take it away.
Yeah. So this is my page. I like the fact that it shows off the team as individuals. Well, they're still working as a team, but you get to see all their individual powers in play and what they bring to the team. I thought it was a good action scene to like introduce the X-Men on their first kind of mission in this story. And also in my head, I just got going on. So yeah, this is I really enjoyed this page. I think the last panel with Kitty helping Beast out, I think that works really well.
Yeah.
And Wolverine coming through the ceiling as well. So
See, maybe
Wolverine bursted in.
Maybe I have no clue what I'm talking about, and why I'm about to say makes no sense to anybody. But what I found with this art, it was very good at moving the story along and giving you good moments. Like this scene, for example, it's all 5 members of the team coming through in different ways. You know, but yet they're still kicking ass in each panel. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's like it moves along. There's a lot of action. There's a lot of things happening in this one ballroom or whatever it is, or apartment block. I can't remember what it was. But like, it just seems quite, as you said, quite dramatic. And you're kind of thinking about the music and stuff. I don't know if it makes sense, but it just pushes the story along and the action along quite well.
Yeah, I agree.
It's really good. Looking at this page kind of makes me think, who is my favorite character in this team? You know, you're basically seeing all of their powers work in every panel here. And if I'm going to pick one, it's going to be, I think, Kitty Pryde.
Yeah, she's cool. I was going to say, if it's not Wolverine, you're wrong, but Kitty Pryde, she is really cool.
It is very cool. Just the fact that you can just slip through a wall, I think is brilliant. And and she understands the physics of how it works as well, because she brought Emma Frost through at one point, and she was like, you need to stop wiggling because you don't want to get fused with the wall or something like that. You know what I mean? She said
threatening to leave her in the wall.
Yeah. That was quite good. So it's cool that the physics works how we understand it could work. Next page, Shane, go.
Yes. I mean, do I need to explain how cool this page is? With just
for
the red
podcast.
light
Yeah.
riff. Oh yeah, of course. You just Kitty Pryde standing in front of Colossus. We've discovered he's alive, and it's just he's emerging from this dark room, and the red light is just shining off his metal muscles, and his rippling biceps, and his pecs, and his abs. And
all right, pick up your jaw. All right,
describing me, Shane. Stop describing me. Talk about Colossus.
I do love the way Emma Frost describes him later in the book. She's like, if you like that gorgeous, muscle-toned, abbed guy, then yeah, he's great. But yeah, the way the light's reflecting off him and off Kitty as well, I just thought it was a really, really beautiful page.
It is awesome.
It is good. Yeah.
The panel before this, on the page before, is just the tiniest sliver of like something reflective, and the bullet is just going ping. You just see it.
Yeah.
And then I looked at that, like, for me there wasn't that excitement to go, who's this? Because I didn't have a clue, and I'm assuming in the books you know that Colossus is is dead or gone or something. So I imagine for readers of this, seeing that and then turning that page, being like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, this is so cool! Colossus is back. This is sick." So yeah, I was trying to empathize with the excitement of the people I had made up in my head that were reading this book being excited.
You can just enjoy the book for yourself at the same time.
Yeah, it's not possible. My turn. So my pick is this one. This for me, Kev. This was the na 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 na. This was that moment for me. Everyone in their blue and yellow costumes, like I remember from the TV show of all 4 episodes that I watched. And then, but yeah, it just looks so cool. And this has the reflections on the floor. I love that. They all look badass. It's the kind of like slow-mo epic music, like epic rock music playing while they walk into their what's the ship called? In my head, it's just called the X-Wing.
The Blackbird.
X-Wing, it's a different franchise.
The X-Wing, I know. They should just swap them around.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very cool. And they've all got just even the way they just not their body language, but the way they're like using their heads. It's really hard to explain this. Like Wolverine is like looking away. Kitty Pryde looks a bit inquisitive, and the other 3, Beast, Scott, and Emma Frost, are just like they just look determined. They look motivated.
They have a purpose.
The characters come through.
Yeah.
In the way they're posed.
Do you know what I thought about this book as well? Like this kind of angle, like they are in that page. There was quite a lot of that in this book. Like,
I'll do a quiz. I'll do a test. See if you've been watching my show. What angle's that called?
Dutch.
Yeah.
Dutch angle.
Mr. Shane.
Nice. Cool.
The Quizler wins again.
Damn it. Over to Martin, please.
See, this page, I'm not the biggest Beast fan. I thought I was going to pick a Wolverine page going into this, but when I saw this page, I loved it. It gave me like Mission Impossible vibes. I love the dark, shadowy look to the left side, but then also, we're getting the breaking in, and you're seeing all the laser trip wires, and I thought that was really cool, and to see Beast not in front of in a scientist setting was cool for me. I like seeing him be Beast as opposed to Hank McCoy. So this was a standout for me. I actually usually pick about 3 pages to sort of decide on what's going to be my favourite, and all 3 of them were Beast. So shocked myself with this.
There's a theme. Yeah, Beast goes Mission Impossible. Really cool. Yeah. Can we try to combine the Mission Impossible theme tune with the X-Men animated series?
That would fit perfectly, wouldn't it?
It would be so cool.
Go dung 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 dung. Right when you hit that part is when you hit the
That'd be great. Nice one. And then over to Phil.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not quite sure what exactly is happening, but he just threw him onto a spaceship. Right?
Wait a minute.
Burst through the window.
Page.
Yeah, again, it's the action for me. Like, throw up the spaceship, burst through the windscreen, stick your claws on his mouth, and I don't know. It's weird, but it's really good and eye catching. And we mentioned the faces. Even a little girl, what come her name, Tilda.
Yeah,
Tilda. It's just the faces were quite good and quite nice throughout. That's one thing that we do appreciate here on the Nerd Herd Comic Club. There's nice faces, as all 5 here have nice faces.
Ooh.
But yeah, just again the tone, the color, the perspective, the Apache. I don't know if they're Apaches helicopters or not. The helicopters at the bottom panel. I just thought there's a lot going on here. I just quite liked it. Well, I did initially want the same page that Scott picked, but he obviously got there first, so I had to settle for this.
Second best.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. Sorry. Right, I'm going to catch up on some comments now that we've had. So Dominic is suggesting some books for you, Martin. He's saying I highly recommend. Phil, did you say House of 10 or Power of 10? Is that what
House
it
of,
is?
House of X and Powers of 10.
I just thought it was House of X, Powers of X, because I don't read X-Men. But apparently, Martin, for me and you, I guess this could be a really good jumping point.
Yeah, definitely.
more
I'll
than
take it
next
into account. If I'm going to read anything X-Men related, I'll give them a check. Cheers for the tip.
Nice. And Liam made a comment about whether this was a good jumping point or not. He says, "I didn't think it was a bad jumping point at all. Yeah, there's definitely history, but ultimately it's the start of a new chapter for the X-Men, and I found it okay to jump on." Yeah. Connie's here. Sup, nerds? Sup, Con? Hope you're doing okay. And there we go. So, writing now. What do you think of that? There was a lot going on, I think. A few little bits of story. We had the whole like team dynamic, like them trying to get used to each other. The little, Scott versus Wolverine, Beast versus Wolverine, everyone versus Wolverine, and then the introduction of Ord, and then you got the Cure. A lot of things going on.
Yeah, but it wasn't crowded though. It didn't feel too condensed or whatever I'm trying to say. Like it set it up nicely. Like even the Emma Frost, Kitty Pryde issue, Scott Summers and Wolverine are always going to have their history with Jean Grey. Or defer. I didn't like him until the last issue. Whenever it became clear what the actual overall plan was and why he was there. And obviously that doctor, forget her name, passed, but her and Beast, like their kind of history, like there was a lot, but it was nice and it worked well and it was all kind of maneuvered well to the point where now this arc's finished, now we're going to move on to the next stuff, and I quite like that.
Right. Joss Whedon knows how to write. It's as simple as that. He knows how to write characters, he knows how to write character interactions, and he knows how to write an interesting story that's going to keep you gripped. You just have to watch any one of his TV shows to know that he knows what the characters are going to be like before he's even put pen to paper. So they stay like that throughout the entire book. There was no random issue where someone acts out of character. It's just the interactions are just enjoyable to read between all of them. The way Emma Frost is, like she's 100%. But then you've got the funny bits in there as well, because Wolverine is asking Scott, "Are you really feeling all right, or is Emma Frost sort of controlling everything you say and do?" And then he kind of says to her, "Are you?" And she's like, "You're never going to see me naked again." It's just funny things like that just thrown in. Like at the right time. It wasn't sprinkled. It wasn't all the way through the book. When during the serious moments, there weren't any silly jokes or anything like that. He knows where to place the comedy moments and where not to. He's never had a problem with that, Joss Whedon.
Yeah, I don't think any character is written poorly or written like you're not satisfied with them. Like everyone had their moment. Everyone had their kind of little thing. Like Wolverine obviously is the coolest. Kitty Pryde was really cool, and Colossus and her. Obviously, there's history there, but like every person, even the Doctor themselves, when you think she's the bad guy, and yet she's not really. She has this vaccine to kind of cure the mutants, but like she just doesn't want to harm people. She's not malicious. She obviously wants to help the ones that Shane mentioned earlier on, the ones you're queuing up and asking for. So that does it really well to portray that in the book, as opposed to just thinking she's a jackass, she's the bad guy, we hate her because she has a vaccine. Like everyone had their kind of their moment in the sun to the point where you quite enjoyed all of them. Even Nick Fury, I thought Nick Fury was really well. Cool. Yeah,
so cool.
And Abigail Brand, who's coming up to the party in one of the movies, upcoming movies, I think, supposedly played by the girl who was Khaleesi in Game of Thrones. I forget her name.
Oh, okay.
That's who she's going to play supposedly in whatever's coming up. Emilia Clarke.
Yes, Emilia Clarke. Yes.
What is that? Is it the Nick Fury series? What is that?
Secret Invasion.
Is that what I'm thinking? She's going to appear in it, isn't she? Yeah. Okay.
So even the kids at the school had a little moment as well with Wing, and I can't remember the girl's name, but she had a really cool power that had like a hard light suit round her, sort of thing.
she becomes somebody later on, doesn't she? I think she's part of the main X-Men line down the line at some point. I just can't think what her superhero name is.
And poor Wing, because they wanted it, didn't they? They both wanted to be A-listers. They wanted to be X-Men, and then he got cured with
And that
against
page
his
with
will.
him crying, the panel of those tears, that was quite sad. Well,
Because it was done to show you what could happen if the cure is used against someone's will, and I get that. But there are so many people, like the Morlocks, they have to hide underground because they can't pass as human. You know, that these are mutants that would gladly give up their powers. That little girl Tildy, she killed her family because of her powers. There are so many mutants that can't control their powers. Rogue can't control her powers. A single touch, she can kill you. You know, given a choice, would she maybe want to give that sort of thing up? And you'd have to go by a case-by-case study. I get it. And the cure would have to be heavily regulated, and I get it. But you can't just destroy it because you don't agree with it. That doesn't make you the good guy. You don't have the moral high ground there.
I think they were more kind of to destroy it in case it fell into the wrong hands. Was it not the thing?
But again, but anything can fall into the wrong hands. The internet, a gun, a knife. You don't take things away from everybody because some people are bad. That's not how the world works. You don't have the right, because you think something's wrong, to take it away from everyone else. Just because your name's on the front of the book, X-Men, doesn't give you the right to do whatever you want. So I didn't agree with Wolverine. I didn't agree with Scott. I know Scott was a bit more diplomatic about it. He wanted to have a talk with Beast, but still, I felt like that talk would have been him trying to talk him out of it and not listening.
You just touched on another thing there, which was actually quite good for the writing style and the purpose of it, was like the fact that Wolverine was like, Beast, you can't take it. Like, you may want to, but you cannot be seen to take this. You are an X-Man. You cannot take this vaccine because that will just destroy for everyone else. And that's another kind of dilemma they have, that they can't take it. The X-Men who are in charge of the school and whatever else, and they're superheroes, if they were to be seen to want the vaccine and take it, then it kind of eats into the hands of the politicians, should I say, that want to push this kind of vaccine to everybody. You know what I mean? And I quite like that.
But then the writers should have had maybe Kitty Pryde think about taking it, or, you know, a human-looking character. But because it's Beast, you understand. The poor man has gone from just having the agility and the skill of a Beast, you know, from the original X-Men. He looked human. He was all right. He was a bit bulkier, but he looked human. To now covered in blue hair and has to just live like that forever. That's not fair. So if he wanted to take it, what right does someone who should be his friend as well? Like, he's been with him for so long. Wolverine should understand. They should have had a talk, not a fight.
Because he's thinking about the school as well, isn't he? Because if an X-Man takes it, it's going to result in the school being pointless, because it's the school for gifted children. Well, if we want to cure ourselves, you know,
but it will show the students. See, on the flip side, it will show the students that, you know what, you don't have to live like this if you don't want to. You do have a choice. Just because you mutated, you have a choice. You know, it's the same way with anything. You have a choice. It should be your choice. Just because you have a power doesn't mean you have to have it. Especially if that power can hurt other people without your control. What if you had a power that
comes great responsibility, you know?
But what if you had a power that if you fall asleep, you cannot control? Like the girl, her dreams, her nightmares come to life. She can't control that. She has to sleep. And at some point, she could destroy the world. Should she have to have that power if she doesn't want it?
No.
And that, of course, is the motivation for Ord, isn't it? That he sees like the future 3 years from now, and the reason why he is on Earth to kill or destroy the mutants is because one mutant, who we do not know who, is responsible for the Break World? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, adding this kind of like alien dynamic onto this X-Men, I thought was really cool and really well done.
Didn't feel out of place.
Yeah. I figured that girl's name, Sako, was the character's name, I think.
Yeah.
She's called Armor in the...
Did you Google it as well?
Yeah.
Oh man, I was waiting for a decent break to jump that in. Yeah, her current name is the Armor. She used to be called the Shield. Take
Oh.
that, Phil.
Oh, okay, well done. You Googled for longer than I did.
Google
Speaking
Warriors.
of Shield,
Yeah.
speaking of Shield, we got to see the acronym for sword
Yeah,
in this book.
Yeah.
Can you remember what it is? Did you write this down?
No, not I did not at all. No.
the
Or
Shield.
Scott quickly Googling.
I got it. Sentient World Observation and Response Department. Did that in 2 clicks.
Again, I liked her
find Hammer.
character. I liked her character as well because, again, like, as Nick Fury said, like, she has her own thing. She has the bigger picture. You may hate her, but she has a job to do for this sword. Now, whether you morally agree with it, it's irrelevant. She has her job that we are not all privy, and the characters aren't all privy to that same information. Again, another dynamic that they can just throw in here that didn't feel out of place. So I liked it.
It just makes perfect sense as well. You know, Shield protects Earth, sword protects Earth from everything else. Simple as that.
Everything beyond the shield.
Everything beyond, yeah.
It's cool.
It's cool
Very
metaphor,
cool.
yeah.
So there's a lot of positives really with the writing. But that's what I'm getting from what we're talking. There's a lot of positives. It's just, for me, it's just such a shame that there's those little tidbits that come from previous runs. If that wasn't there, if they explained a little bit more about what previously happened in this as a volume 1, this would be great. This would just leveled it up for me. But
there wasn't even a single asterisk to tell you where this story took place. You know, when they talk about the legacy virus and Colossus's death, it didn't say like see X-Men number 192 or anything like that to give you any form of reference.
See, sometimes I have a inner conflict when it comes to continuity. Like, you don't really need it. So those asterisks, for example, if I'm reading a Marvel book currently and they have an asterisk saying see Amazing Spider-Man issue 604, like, I don't go back and read it. I don't need to. If you know what I'm trying to say, as long as you tell me that there's something that happened that once upon a time, I don't need to know it, because is it really relevant to the current story? So my conflict is this: I would like to see some references, but I also think we don't need them. Do you know what I mean? That's where I'm at. Like, it's Josh. I can't say Joss Whedon's story. He's telling his story, you know, and that's it. You just have to listen to it and take it in and believe what the words he's telling you. That's what I think sometimes when it comes to continuity. But I still like to know at the same time. That's my problem. That's an inner conflict thing. So if anyone knows how to resolve that, let me know.
There's no cure. Maybe we should speak to Dr. Kavita to help you out. Speaking of her, did you believe her motivations and stuff like that? Did you think she was truthful?
I was half expecting her to turn into Mystique at some point. You know, you were expecting to see a gold eye or a flecks of blue skin at some point when she walked into a room, but no, she was just a good guy, just going. She was an ends justify the means person, and sometimes there's nothing wrong with that.
She didn't discover the cure. Yeah, that's the thing. She cared about Tilde. She cared about the mutants, as Seamus said, who don't want to be mutants. She tried to find a cure herself, couldn't find it, and this guy Ord gave it to her, essentially. And she has to work with an evil being to get the result she wants, but you deal with it a different day. And obviously, this is this day. But no, I liked her motivations. I liked the fact that she did care. And she wasn't the enemy of the X-Men, because I think, as Shane's alluding to, there should be an option.
She didn't want him getting hurt. She didn't she wasn't stunned when Beast broke in. So it come across very genuine all the way through.
Yeah. And it's a shame right at the end when Wolverine drops the ship on her building at the end to destroy all her research.
Oh no. But there are still some bits of that research dotted around the world, isn't there?
Yeah, she sent it, didn't she? All different agencies.
Well, she said she did, but Wolverine called her bluff.
Oh yeah.
You can smell a lie, that one.
So that now means that the X-Men, they only have that one that one, whatever,
Yep.
in Beast Lab. That's it.
Yep.
Because Beast said they've only put it back by maybe 3 months. It's nothing that can't be redone.
Yep.
So, how long is this? Just 18 issues, or is it 24 issues? Yeah, it's 24 issues long. This whole run, apparently, the Joss Whedon stuff, 2004 to 2008. So, I'm feeling a big part of this story is going to be about Beast umming and ahhing, going back and forth about taking this cure, and I feel like that's going to be a big motivation for people to keep reading. It's definitely something for me, anyway. Like, I want to know if he's going to do it or not, and I want the emotion from it as well, and that would definitely be a driving force to get me to keep reading this. After Joss Whedon's run, and then you said Joss Stone. After Joss Whedon's run, does it, after issue 24, is it still Astonishing X-Men, or is it something else again?
It's likely to be
It
something
carries
else.
on under the same title, but then
Right.
I think it only lasts
Yeah.
a few more issues or so.
Right.
Maybe another year or two.
And that's the
Okay.
problem I have with X-Men. They constantly do this and have done for years. Like, this is 2004. They're still doing it today.
Oh, it goes all the way up to issue 68.
Oh.
There we go.
Who carries on after Whedon?
So
I want to say Whedon because I can't say his first name.
So Joss Whedon, and then Warren Ellis takes
Okay.
over for
Okay.
3 years, and then we have a very short run from Daniel Way and Christos Gage. Then we have then Greg Pak takes over for a bit, and then Marjorie Liu, she takes over of Monstrous fame, and
It's got some real talent behind this book.
Got some big names on there.
people like X-Men.
Yeah.
But I get that they're big names, but again, it's 2004. Maybe they're just like starting out. So that's
I was
what
going to say,
again.
'cause this wouldn't be the main X-Men run. If Uncanny X-Men is the main run, this would be like like Spider-Man. This would be like Spectacular Spider-Man, not Amazing Spider-Man. Or
So that tells me in 2004 this not being the main flagship X-Men book, and they're jumping from creator to creator. Yes, they're all really good as we know them now, but are they only starting out 2004, and were they just kind of trying to keep this book alive as long as they can?
Was this a potential audition for those writers to go on to other books? Hence why we've had so many writers on this series?
Potentially, yeah.
Who knows?
I was going to say, it's
Speaking
definitely
of who
that
knows.
era where they were trying out film directors and actual authors. I'm not saying that they're not actual authors, people who've written books before and stuff. So this was the era where they were bringing outside talent into comics to help boost sales and bring a new kind of like gravitas to them or something like that.
It was peak comics, wasn't it? Early 2000s to late 2000s, peak comics.
That's what you say,
Right
but I
up
didn't
to
make comics then.
Flashpoint, where Barry ruined everything.
Barry ruins everything anyway.
Who was Emma talking to at the end of the book? I know it's a build up for the next volume, but who was she talking to?
That's what's wanting to keep me intrigued in the book. Like I have these trade paperbacks, the 1 and 2, which I got from the charity shop for 50 pence each, and I will read the next one because I'm hoping it does kind of show us who that is, because that's the part, like the Emma Frost Kitty Pryde engagement. I like that. There's a lot there, like a bit catty to each other.
She purposefully brought Kitty there to keep her in check.
So I feel like I
like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm looking at that last page now, and I don't know who it could be. I don't have enough experience with these characters. Like, I'm wondering if anyone has, if anyone's read on, great. But if anyone has read before this and has gotten used to all these characters, maybe they understand how these people talk and stuff like that. So maybe it is possible to decipher it before you go on to the next stuff.
I'm guessing Professor X, to be honest.
Curveball.
But also, I don't know much about Emma Frost. Like, she's been a villain before, so is this like another villain? Is it like Magneto or something?
Yeah, because it sounded like
well-
she wanted to do something to Kitty Pryde, didn't it? She's like,
Yeah, so is she really in love with Scott Summers, or is she just like doing that as like a ruse to kind of be undercover type of thing? That's the stuff I like.
That's my wanting to read more. That's why I want to go further, because it's that unknowing of her intentions. You don't know what's coming on that next arc, which is what made me think, oh, I want to carry on.
Kev, have you read
because
on?
she's a psychic. She could just pretend that she's.
Years, I can't remember.
Oh.
Because she could have just implanted a memory into all the X-Men that make her part of the team, and then Professor X can come rocking back up and be like, "Boom, get out of here! What are you doing here?" And everyone's like, "Oh my god, she's been infiltrating us for months, making us think she's one of us."
She was already part of the team in the new X-Men.
And Grant Morrison.
So,
Okay, that's.
Yeah.
There you go. See, I did not know that. I don't know very much about Emma Frost. Like I say, I still don't know where she got her diamond skin from and how that's an evolution of her psychic powers.
I wonder if it was just a thing to be like, she's basically in her underwear, so we need an excuse. Why is she in her underwear? Oh, she can turn into crystal. There we go. So there's an excuse. She wants to show off how good she looks as Crystal.
Yeah, of course. Easy, brilliant.
I wonder if that was an editorial. It might have been an editor's thing. Like, oh, we got to give an excuse why she's in her underwear.
That's good. Totally plausible. I am aware that there are 5 of us today, and it may take us more time than usual to do our final thoughts and scores. So is it okay if we start now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So there we go. So we're going to go into our final thoughts and scores. For everyone in the chat, I know you're there. I know you're watching. And if you've read along with the book, please do give us your score out of 10. It totally contributes to how this book is finally scored and where will it land on the leaderboard. So, Kev, I'd love to start with you, please, as you pick the book.
Right. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a good jumping on point. Like I said at the beginning, it hasn't... Maybe because I thought it was so good when I first read it, I'm coming back to it like 20 years ago or however long ago it was now that I read it. It hasn't lived up as much as I would have liked in my head. Me no good with words. Me good to draw. But yeah, a 7. I think it was a solid story. I want to keep reading because I can't remember what happens next. And yeah, I thought it's a good story. I liked Beast's conundrum with it, and yeah, good story.
Great, nice one. 7 out of 10. Thank you very much. Let's go, Shane.
Yeah, like I said, I'm a sucker for X-Men books. I tend to get a little bit, not bored, but annoyed at the constant mutant hating in the book. In a world where so many people can fly and throw fire and there are so many super teams, I find it hard to believe that now, I get it in the 60s, what they were going for with the X-Men, I completely understand. The 60s, 70s, and 80s, it all made perfect sense. But when you get to the noughties and the teens and the 20s now, the fact that people still hate the mutants because they have powers, because they're a mutation in humans, I still don't understand it as a story point to use in the X-Men books now. I think it's overdone. They need to stop with that and just have them as the teams that they are. And I don't think they relied too heavily on that in this book, so I was quite happy with that. The idea of the cure is great. I mean, they used it in one of the movies. They know how good that is of a premise. And Beast, I felt for him, and I was annoyed at everyone else for trying to talk him out of it. And I think that goes to show how good the writing is when you agree with a character and then disagree with another one, and you can argue it back and forth in your own head. I think they've done a really good job. Joss Whedon is fantastic. I don't have a bad word to say about his writing. I've enjoyed everything he's done on screen, so it bears reason that I would enjoy what he puts down on paper. I'm going to go a little bit higher than Kev because I didn't read this 20 years ago, so I don't have rose tinted glasses. I'm just going to go with my read for this time round. I'm going to give it 7.5. I'd like to read on as well.
Nice, cool. I may as well keep going in this kind of clockwise fashion. So I'll go next. Even though this was a book that introduces an X-Men team, potentially for new readers and people, older fans of X-Men jumping onto this as well, it still felt like a Beast book. It did focus on him. It was about, if he's going to take the cure or not. And then, we are learning about the other characters down the line. And I feel like it's kind of led into, what am I trying to say? It's led into this thing with Emma Frost now. It's going to slowly morph into that. I thought it was a visually stunning book. Absolutely loved looking at it. Really, really great. Body language, facial expressions, colors just look stunning. And story as well. I'm not sure if I've read much Joss Whedon. Nothing comes to my mind straight away when I think of it. I hear Joss Whedon, I think of Avengers. So I'm pleasantly surprised with what I've read, and I would like to read more of this. I would like to read more of what he's done outside of X-Men as well. So I'm also giving this a 7.5.
Nice.
Martin?
As my first X-Men book, as I say, I'm quite surprised. I really enjoyed this. This book gave me a new love for Beast. I think Beast is a great character now after seeing this side of him, because I've always, seen him as that scientist. So to actually see him be a beast is, a lot more interesting. I thought the story as a whole was very good. It was a nice way to start off a volume 1, even though I did personally feel I wanted to know a little bit about the backstory. I wanted to know where some of these things had happened before. I can't help it. That's just who I am. If I'm reading a volume 1 of a book, I want to know everything. I don't want to be told on a volume 1 I've got to go back and read all this other stuff as well. That's the whole point of it being a volume 1 for me. But take that out of it. The art was great. The story was good. I would love to read on because it did leave me hanging for another volume. So I'm going to join the guys, and I'm going to go in with a 7.5 as well.
Nice. Okay.
Nice.
And the best till last, Philip. What did you think of the book?
Oh, you're leaving me the best till last.
Yeah.
Okay. Or do you mean Liam? Because Liam's score is going to be set after mine. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Let's go with that. Yeah.
To be fair, I've increased my score slightly from what I was thinking in my head beforehand. Because I think I've enjoyed talking about it, and these have all helped me kind of see the good points. It's actually quite good. I do have a problem with X-Men in general, but again, that's my own thing. Like, I just can't seem to get on board with the whole thing. However, this is quite self-contained. There's only about 6 X-Men characters you really need to worry about. It's not too clouded, but yet he was able to fit a lot of stuff in here, and there's a lot of stuff here I'm happy to read, and I want to know more. Like the Beast thing, the Emma Frost, Kitty Pryde stuff. Wolverine, to be fair, doesn't really need to have his own arc. He just has his own. He just bounces off everybody, and he's just cool. And I liked where this was going. I want to read on. The art's really well. It's really good. It's really clean, and I don't know if this makes sense. Like smooth, like the way it just runs through the whole story really well. And yeah, I think overall this arc started off quite slow, but then I think the end kind of wrapped things up for me to like a really satisfying ending. And for that reason, the fact that we've talked about it really well, we've all enjoyed it, I'm going to go from a 6.5 to a 7. 7 out of 10 for me.
Right, there we go. So it looks like we've only had one more score in the chat today. That's from Liam. He says, solid book overall. I enjoyed it, but haven't been enticed to read on. But I would happily read on if it's on the Nerd Herd, but otherwise probably wouldn't. 6.5 out of 10. Thank you very much. So combining that with Kev's score, there's an average of 6.8. So adding that along with Phil's 7 and Shane, Martin and mine's 7.5s. That gives us an average of 7.3. There we go. So let's see. Does it hit the top 10?
Ooh.
No, nearly. We still need to beat that 7.5 to get on the top 10. So it goes on to the rest of the leaderboard, which becomes joint ninth with Friday book 1,
That's some
which I
good
believe,
company.
Martin, wasn't that your pick?
No, it was
No,
Liam's.
But
Yeah.
you wanted to pick it as well, or something.
Yeah,
like,
I chucked in. Yeah, I went on that as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So there we go. So it's joint ninth there, which is brilliant. So there we go. That's been us. Let's tell you what's coming up, and I think we already know what Kev is drawing tomorrow night. He's already said, but here it is anyway. He is going to be drawing Wolverine, and he's showing us how to draw Wolverine step by step. So if you are interested in that, and if you want to see that, then do go over to the Nerd Herd channel, and it will be available from 7 p.m. onwards for the rest of time for you to go and watch.
I love those
Kevin's little
thumbnails.
Wolverine. He's got his
I
little
know.
Wolverine shirt on, and there's scratch
And his
marks
hair.
on his canvas.
The hair.
Don't forget his hair. Let's look at it again.
Yeah.
Look at his hair.
Oh, I didn't see the
Ah.
hair.
Little cute Wolverine
That
Kev.
is attention to detail. Well done.
That
You
is
need
all
to
that-
show us
Oh,
how to
marking
draw our
myself.
little Kev.
Yeah, I want to draw. Teach me how to draw a little chibi version of me.
Yeah, I want to draw a little version.
Don't
That'll be
teach me. Just draw a little version of me that I can use it.
That's awesome. But yeah, thank you, Kev. Thank you for coming along. Thank you for choosing this book.
You for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you for joining us. And all we got left to do now is just to find out what we're going to be reading next week for our new wave. It is going to be Phil's pick. What has he chosen? Let's find out. And on the podcasts, what we are going to be talking about next week.
So this is a book called Thanos Wins. This was Donny Cates taken over from, I think, Jeff Lemire, possibly. And this is the introduction of the Cosmic Ghost Rider. So if you've watched our previous episode, I think it was season 2 or 1, I can't remember,
Yeah.
2.
where I done things in the wrong order. This should have came first. This is the introduction of the Cosmic Ghost Rider. This is Thanos Wins, and it collects issues 13 to 18 from 2016.
Yes.
Prequels month.
Oh, don't know. That'd be mental. But yeah, brilliant. Thanks so much, everyone. So yeah, so that's what we've got coming up next week. Thanos Wins, issues 13 to 18. Don't forget that. So if you want to join in, do go and read along. Don't forget if you can't make the live, you want to give us your opinions anyway on the socials, then get in touch with us on Instagram, Facebook Messenger, and that's it. So that's only one more thing left for us to do. It is get your waves up. See ya.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Love you.